The ATF released a report recently that has kind of flown under the radar, and for good reason, because it completely goes against their own narrative of the gun show loophole, finding that criminals are more likely to get their guns off TikTok and Tinder than they are at a gun show. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Never thought I'd be talking about Tinder here. But before I get into the details, I do want to address one thing, and that is that I originally found this story on the gun politics subreddit, and I know from the comments that some people are not going to believe it just based on the fact that the ATF is claiming to be on Tinder and not Grindr. But I am telling you, it is what the report says, so I gotta take that at face value. Also, this video is brought to you by Blackout Coffee Company. Blackout is a family-owned and operated coffee roaster based out of sunny Florida that supports my channel, the Second Amendment, and veterans. They've also partnered with some of your favorite gun rights groups on special partner roasts where each purchase donates to those groups directly. And now they've even expanded into instant coffee. So there is no reason to not check them out, because you know what? They also have tea if you don't like coffee. So to check them out and help support the channel, go to blackoutcoffee.com/libertydoll. So this particular ATF report on arms trafficking also doesn't implicate themselves as the #1 arms dealer, but when does the government implicate itself anyways? So this report, or at least this section of it, is 11 pages long and has all kinds of good information in it. For example, the fact that despite Biden's ATF cracking down on FFLs, the #1 place that criminals allegedly get their firearms is in person-to-person sales, not from so-called rogue FFLs. I know, that doesn't really surprise any of us, but that particular data point is part of the driving force, allegedly, behind making private sellers hold FFLs to sell anything without a loss. Of course, criminals aren't going to listen to that. An old corn pop on the street corner isn't going to be petitioning the government to keep selling hot Glocks out of his trunk. But you know the problem is rogue FFLs, but in fact, by the ATF's own data, FFLs are the least likely place for criminals to get their guns outside of straw purchases. And if someone isn't super obvious about it and suspicious, you really have no idea if someone is intending to buy that gun and immediately hand it off to someone else. If they were, that would not make up about 41% of all trafficked guns. Another important piece of info is in the 2020 and 2021 data columns, which shows that after 2019, guns were more likely to be trafficked via social media apps than they were at gun shows, flea markets, and auctions. Gun shows aren't even in the top 5. And yet, the government and anti-gun activists are still harping on that gun show loophole, with the ATF attacking kitchen table FFLs on a crusade to stop the gun show. Yet, you don't see any government agencies or activists talking about the Tinder loophole. Restrictions on Tinder would cut into way too many extracurricular activities. It's still a small percentage, but 3.7% of trafficked and tracked guns from 2017 to 2021 were trafficked via TikTok, Tinder, Facebook, and Instagram, as opposed to only 1.6% from FFLs. Even at their highest peaks in 2021, 3.5% of illegal guns were traced back to gun shows, while 4.1% came from Tinder and Facebook. And while some of the folks on Facebook might be everyday, normal, law-abiding folks just trying to make a buck, I sincerely doubt that legal and lawful gun owners are the ones selling guns on Tinder. I feel like there's a joke somewhere in there about getting strapped, but frankly, I am not witty enough to make it. Anyway, so that shows us what? That the people buying and selling guns on Tinder are criminals. Either way, the percentages are pretty negligible and are 2 of the bottom 3 sources. That one I feel like is a Grindr joke. Moving on. Something else interesting is that they show the top cities where the gun trafficking takes place. Phoenix is #1, but after that we have New York, Chicago, San Francisco, and Boston. Curiously, all areas that are heavily regulating firearms. How strange that they're also the top areas for firearms trafficking. It's almost as if criminals don't give a flying donut about the law. Anyways, that's about all that there really is in that report that is of any substance. I just thought it was hilarious that the ATF is tracking guns back to Tinder and doing things on Tinder. Oh, leave it up to the Fed boys and their weirdness. I mean, how did you even track that without also being on Tinder, Fed boys? Anyways, that is it for that fun little tidbit, a little gem, a little diamond in the rough. All the other news reports that I have seen on this ATF report focus on these straw purchases and the private sales, but they're just ignoring that little gem of the ATF hunting Tinder. Your tax dollars at work. Anyways, you guys know the drill for all of the algorithm things. Like, share, and subscribe if you are new here. Ring that notification bell. Leave a comment down below. Do not leave your Tinder username for the ATF. Don't get too nasty down there, because that'll get me in trouble. And as always, thanks for tuning in, and happy shooting.